Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Business Growth Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Maria Fontana, and we are helping salon professionals scale more profits with less stress globally. And today I have an amazing guest, the coach Chris Baran, who has so much amazing stuff to offer us. He is iconic. I've been following him my whole career, which you can imagine is a pretty long time. Hey, Chris, welcome. How are you?
Well, Maria, firstly, thank you for the honor and the pleasure of being on here and helping to serve your consumers, your guests, your people that listen to you all the time. And I know of it, and I'm just honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. So, Chris, for some of our newer, younger stylists or people who are just starting to get turned onto the podcast or watching us on YouTube, just tell them a little bit about yourself, your magic, like what you're doing in the world of beauty and the impact you're having.
Yeah. Well, for those that are out there, I have a motto in life, and I'll lead with that. It's more that it was put on me. It's not that I chose it. Okay. But I have a motto, and that is fail your way to the top. Because to me, that's what my whole life. I'll be very clear. I didn't want to be a hairdresser. I mean, it's not that I didn't say I'm not going to be a hairdresser. I didn't know what I want to be. My mom was a hairdresser, and she appointed me, and I kind of failed my way up. To me, it was more about partying, and then I discovered education, and I really got turned on. And then everything sort of kind of steamrolled from there. I have to say, and I've probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours trying to understand and learn what adult education is, because quite frankly, I was that student in school. Well, let me put it this way. I was in the half of the class that made the top half possible. And I always thought that I was stupid. And when I learned about adult education, I learned that I wasn't stupid. I just never had a connection, and no teacher really connected with me. And when some of my teachers helped me understand how to create that connection, I went, wow, maybe it wasn't me. I'm not blaming teachers. Please don't get me wrong.
No.
But I never had a teacher that connected with me. And when I found that you could train somebody by helping them along and still be giving kid gloves to them. And pardon me if I go on a little rant here, but
no, I love it.
To me, I always think that educators and people that want to train, they train the way they were taught. That makes sense? You pick up the styles of what they trained like is how you train. So at the very beginning, I'm not going to say the name here because it's of the company that helped to train me. It was all based on design, and I mean it with, I loved them. They were utmost respect. They made me who I am today. And so far as my design skills, but their training style was very different. It was, I'm the teacher, you're the student. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. You only do what I tell you to do. And it's about achieving this. And even if I have to cut it, then we'll get there. And I was ingrained in it and did a lot of it. I actually went out, and what do you think that my training style was? And it was exactly that. And can I be very candid?
Sure, that's what we're here for.
Not out there. Pardon me if anybody doesn't want to hear a bad word. Plug your ears right now.
No, that's okay. Well, I use bad words all the time.
Okay, good. But I was a bit of an asshole, because I thought that's how I had to train. And so I trained like that and helped some, but I probably pissed off other people. And so then I knew that something was wrong about the education. Something was wrong about the way I educated. And that's where I had to turn to get help. And so I to find out what adult education is, because adult education is nothing more than going out and seeking things and to solve a problem that you have, as opposed to mandatory, where you had to go to school, your subjects were picked for you, and you had to go at the time they wanted you to go, and had to do the tasks that they wanted you to do. But that's not what adult education is. Adult education is about finding problems that people have and solving their problems and helping them turn them into a better result of themselves. So, my history has been hair. hair businesses. I've been in this now, I guess, coming on 54 years. I started when I was 3, if you're going to do the math. Canada, raised in Center Canada, moved to the coast. 2020 moved. I got a position of global artistic director. Moved to New York. Was there for 16 years and loved every minute of it. But I think you have to escape New York every once in a while. So
Yes.
With our production company and our education company, I just saw 2016. We moved out here, and I'm now in Phoenix, Arizona. So that's Chris Baran in a nutshell.
I'm still in New Jersey, but good for you.
Well, it was the snow that I couldn't take. That was it.
So, Chris, what was that shift in education? Like, what was the point where you were like, you know what, I'm going to master this and I'm going to tweak it and I'm going to make it where I really connect and make this my own? Because I know you are an incredible educator. So what was that one thing that shifted everything, that made you change how you educated?
Well, there was 2 pivotal things that happened. Number one was when I was working for my mom, and I always call it the 2x4 moment. And I don't know if in Canada or in the US you have that same expression, but like 2x4 for us, I'm sure is the same thing. Big piece of wood.
Yeah, the piece of wood.
Yeah, a piece of wood. And it's like somebody, like you have those pivotal moments in your life when somebody changes you to a point by saying something to you. And that I got smacked between the eyes with a 2x4 from one of my clients, not literally, but metaphorically.
Right.
When I was in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, center of Canada, and my client came in, so Chris, don't cut my hair today. I'm going to Montreal to get a good haircut. And that I hated her, but that was the moment where I knew I had to change. Something had to change, that I needed to get on the bandwagon of hairdressing and actually learn what it was about. So that was number one. And then number two I've always been reasonably good at art. So I could fumble my way through hair cutting, but I was what I called a whittler,
Okay.
Cut a piece, didn't look right. Cut a piece, still not there. Cut a piece, okay, getting closer. Cut a piece, and you eventually get there. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I was either going by trying to get trying to get something in my brain onto a head of hair, but I didn't know how to get there automatically.
Okay.
And that's when understanding the principles was one of those pivotal moments for me. So I could understand why. I could understand what I was doing before I actually picked up the hair, rather than waiting till after and trying to fix it. So that was number two. And then number three was being introduced to a gentleman by the name of Blair Singer. Blair Singer is one of the Rich Dad Poor Dad advisors. Amazing gentleman. He was, and I just remembered him, the quote that when he was standing in front of the room, and I just remembered him teaching us about the difference in content versus context. In other words, what you're teaching versus how you're teaching it. And I remember having this moment, and I actually stood up when he asked me what I got out of the day. And I went, "You mean to say it's not what we're saying, but how we're saying it?" And that was a huge shift for me. That was where I went, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but this is good stuff. Well, stuff wasn't a word I've used, but I've always already used up my limit for cuss words. But that was what I would say was the biggest pivotal moment for me, where I really got turned on. And from there, then it became, after, like I said earlier, hundreds of thousands of hours and money, that I had to pour in it, and lots of angst, problems. That's where I figured I want to be able to help other people, educators, not have to go through what I went through by helping them. And so we have a couple things that we help people with in our training, and particularly in our GPS programs.
So tell us a little bit about your core programs. I know you have a bunch, but just give me a little rundown
Okay.
how they can help people, because I think this is something that really needs to be talked about in the industry. Yeah. You are definitely a visionary, so maybe just break down those few core programs and who they're good for.
Yeah. Well, and again, I love it. The fact that would you actually send me an email that says Chris the Visionary? because
yes, I will.
again, and my motto is failure way to the top. So it's always, I just believe in, you start something, and if it works, great. If not, you put it aside and you try something else.
Yeah.
But what really tweaked with us is we started a program called GPS, or Global Peak Performance System, because we help to guide people like a GPS does, and in their educational endeavors. And so part of that spin-off was to so that in a nutshell is a weekly training program that we do, where we have with all the people that join. We have a community that comes together, and then Chris Moody and myself are part of that, and we train them on all of the things that we've learned from our teachers, and so that they don't have to go through all of that angst. So that's kind of, think of that as the big picture at the top.
Okay.
And then off to the side of that, we said, because we're doing it digitally, we wanted to have a location that people could go to, so our members and other people can come to it, called Chris Camp. And Chris Camp is this network where we get together, and we always believe, Chris and I believe, that if you train people harder than they ever have to perform in real life, just like athletes do,
right,
then doing your presentation is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
So we help to coach them in that, and that's what the facilitation part and the hands-on one-on-one really came together in Chris Camp. Well, then magically, we know what all happened in March of 2020, and which we couldn't be together, so we started to doing those digitally. And so we do them twice a year. So it'll be our third one coming up on May 23rd, 24th, if anybody's interested.
Very nice. We'll drop those links below, guys, where you can connect with Chris. So if you're listening and you want to get more information, you'll find the links below and in the show notes. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
And I'll tell you what I'll do is there's a couple of multiple prices levels in there. I'm going to try and work it out with people that if they want to get on, I'll automatically bump them up. If they just use your name.
Okay.
And then just put their name. If you go to chris@chrisbaran.com, and you just say that you're interested in information and use your name, I'll make sure that whatever price they bump up to, we put them up into the next level, even up into our VIP.
Offer. That is amazing. That is so great. So Chris, you have all these amazing online programs. You're really, like, you were right on target with what needed to happen. So what I want to pick your brain about is, as an iconic educator, visionary, stylist. So to me, that's what I see you as, because I've been following you my whole life. Okay. So what is the one thing that hairstylists, suite owners, salon, anyone in our salon professional industry, regardless of what they're doing, what sector they're in, what do you think is the most important thing, or the top two things that they really need to be focusing on now and moving forward in the world and in their business?
This one keeps turning off on me here.
That's okay. The mic, the technology, the mic's going off. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says, "Can you hear me? Am I on?" And I'm gonna another one in there is, "Can you see me?" It's but my answer to that is probably going to be so boring.
No, that's okay. Whatever you feel.
But because it's the same thing that I tell everybody, the only way that you get to the top is to practice and train, practice and train, practice and train. I have a good friend who says, he tells a story of how he has a client who's a very high-end pianist, and he travels the world. And he says, so what do you do when you get to play with and be in recordings with all these amazing people? He said, what do you do when you go home? And he said, well, when I go home, I practice, because when I'm performing, I don't have the time or the option to practice. So I go home and I practice. And so my point is, that's what helped me get where I am. I'm always a bit of a, how would you say, I took a test one time from Blair Singer it was on your type that you are, and it's from Sales Dog. So it was all animals. And my point was, it came to me as that I'm half retriever, and because retrievers need to be liked, and they want to be liked or loving.
Right.
And then my other half is pit bull. So when I get onto something, I like bite on it. I won't let go ever until I can make it work or whatever. Right. So I just say practice. And it's interesting when I've traveled the world. I've been in front of one person, and I've been in front of 10,000 people. And I had constantly had people coming up to me because I love going to salons. That's a meat and potato stuff.
Yes.
Where you go in there and you help them with their skills. And I had people constantly telling me, Chris, if only you could come in and be the trainer for my people. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, until I can figure out this cloning thing, that can't happen. Number one. Number two, it'd be really expensive. And that's when, like, it started as a progression that I went, well, my son he's a director. So we put videos together, and we started off with, catch this, we started with DVDs.
Nice.
We put training things together for principles of design, principles of finish. Well, then pretty soon nobody's got a DVD player. So we went into apps and we did that. And I thought that was truly the answer. And there's part of it that is, but what kept resonating to me was the owners, or even with suites, people working in suites saying, if I have an apprentice, somebody who's coming in, I don't have time to train them.
Right.
And so that's where kind of practice melded with what we already had. And I just had this brainwave that I said, look, if you're after and you need your associates trained and want me to do it, and I can't be everywhere,
right,
then what can I put together so that I can train them and be everywhere? Yeah. So we came up with this, and I want to catch you this because this is an amazing name. I thought of this myself. So you ready?
Yes.
It's catchy, so you might want to write it down.
Go ahead.
It's called Associate Training Program. Ta-da.
Yeah, but it is very direct and it's very clear. But to me, like, clarity is like so important, and Bingo. That's amazing. So honestly, Chris, you think that your feelings are the most important thing that all stylists, no matter what level they're at, they have to focus on constantly cultivating, fine-tuning, and bettering their skills. And I will agree with you on that, because I always say that too in our industry. You can be the specialist, you can be the best of the heart surgeons, or you can just be the guy that works at the clinic that, all you could do is write a prescription if someone's got a cold. And I know that's a silly analogy, but I hold our industry to such high standards. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone else needs to own that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I love what you're saying there, Maria, because our industry, what really gets me upset is sometimes how our industry is perceived. I don't need to say what that is. Everybody knows how it's perceived, but to me, it's all rubbish. Because I always say, I remember sitting beside one of the vice presidents of Boeing. I mean, he didn't know I was. He kept telling me who he was. So he kept telling me who he was, what he did. And at the end, we were having this amazing conversation. And then he asked me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a hairdresser. And it was like, when somebody turns off the light when you leave the room, and he just didn't know what to say. And he just turned around. And I wanted to turn to him and I wanted to say, you know what? I'll bet that as a VP of Boeing, you probably get paid a pretty good chunk of change, huh? Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, why don't you pull out your tax report and I'll pull up my tax report.
Yes.
And if you're just thinking that I'm some schmo who doesn't earn anything and is not worthy of your time, let's just take a look at that. And you can see what people in our industry have the possibility of earning, and that's why I'm so adamant about practice and training. And I'm not saying that people, I'm not saying you don't have to be as, I'm that pit bull. So I'll go downstairs and I'll make hair pieces for, 20, 30 hours. But, it's like exercise. And that's another thing that, well, I'll just leave that all alone. But it's like exercise. If you want to do something, just put it in your book. Right. Like once a week, go and just do it. Take 1 hour, 2 hours and train yourself on something. Yeah. And so that's exactly what we did. We wanted to make the associate training program simple enough because we took all the work out of it.
Right.
And the constant thing that I heard from, whether it was like a big chain or whether
Right.
it was somebody with 3 or 4 staff,
Right.
excuse me, the
That's okay.
biggest thing with them was, how do I get them creating revenue as quickly as I possibly can?
Right.
And that's why we figured I want to have a system whereby you can, what do I need to know up front so I can start doing work, so I can take blow dries, color applications, whatever that is, so that my high ticket earners
Right.
can take more high ticket prices, and
Right.
they're actually adding on to the revenue stream that the salon has. So to me,
Brilliant.
that's the critical part.
I think that's amazing. And you know what, Chris, I totally agree with you. And for everyone that's listening today, whenever this is going to air, I want you guys to all remember, all you salon professionals out there, I want you all to remember that it is key to hold a high level of integrity and professionalism for yourself, because you are teaching people how to treat you. And this is something I bark about all the time. And how we show up, how you show up to work, how you up level your skills, how you up level your own personal development and mindset. And Chris, I want to just thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, your magic, your precious time. Really, it was such a blessing and a gift today. I am so grateful.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. I tell you what, I'm going to do one more thing.
Ooh,
Anybody that wants to be a part of our associate training program, and it's just bit.ly/train faster, bit.ly/train faster.
Okay.
And if you type in a code 30 free, I'll make sure you get 30 days of that training. You can use the program for 30 days, all on your own, no charge.
Oh my God, that is an incredible value. So you guys, you'd be crazy not to take advantage of that. This sounds like the most comprehensive onboarding and training program I've been exposed to, since I'm going to check it out myself, and I'm going to give you some feedback on that.
I love that.
Chris, thank you so much. You're a doll. All of Chris's contact information is below in the show notes or above, depending where you're watching or listening to Business Growth Made Easy. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Good luck. God bless everybody.